Hi everyone, it's Weinye and welcome to another new video. Today's video is going to be all about Inktober, what's Inktober, and what are the drawing tools and materials I will be using for this year's Inktober. So what's Inktober? If you've not heard, Inktober is basically a drawing challenge that was created by Jake Parker back in 2009, I think. That happens every year for the entire month of October. It's fairly simple, nothing too complicated. All you have to do is basically do a drawing a day in ink, post it online, and use the hashtag Inktober. In the more recent years, Jake Parker would release an official prompt list as a guide, but you can basically draw whatever you want. However, I think the prompt list is good for you to challenge yourself to draw something out of your comfort zone, because I know how some people only draw girls, maybe some people only draw humans, some people maybe only draw animals. So it's a good way to try something new that you've not tried before, and I think that's really important as an artist to be as versatile as possible. Although I feel drawing a thing a day for 31 days straight proves as a challenge itself on its own. I've participated in many Inktober's throughout the years, however I've never completed the full 31 days. At most I did was 27 days, and I was like, 27? That's close to 31, you know, I'm done. But so hopefully this year I'll be able to do the full 31 days of Inktober. If you were one of my OG followers from back in 2011, 2012, you would know that I used to only draw my comics traditionally with inks and Prismacolor markers. But I've since switched my comics over to a digital format. I still work traditionally, but I mainly use watercolor and inks for my traditional mediums. Alright, for the fun part, I'll be sharing all my tools and materials that I'm intending to use for the month of Inktober. If you've been following my Draw With Me videos on YouTube, you've probably seen these two pens over and over again. These two pens are my absolute favorite. They are my go-tos all the time. They are brush pens, by the way, and I'm not sure if Pentel is a Japanese brand. I'm not sure, but I know this brand is a Japanese brand. It's a Kuretake felt Bimoji pen. Don't worry about the names. I'll list everything down in the video description, as I always do. If you ever wonder what are the tools and materials I use for each of my drawing videos, the description is all the details are always in the description, so if you're ever wondering, just click the video description. So what these pens are, they are brush pens. They come with an ink cartridge that already has ink in them, as opposed to these kind of like water brushes, or aquarella brushes, I guess they're called. So these ones come in an empty cartridge, and you can fill it in with water, with ink, whatever, but I always fill this part with water because I use these brush pens for watercolors mostly. So why do I love these two pens? This Pentel one, I really like the grip. I like how the tip is. So the Pentel one is more on like the thicker end, but what I really love is how long the nib is. So it gives you like very good line variation. You can go from extremely thin and fine to extremely thick, and this one is good for coloring in as well, and they don't bleed, which is good. Well, it depends on the paper you use, but for the most part I only use good quality paper for all my drawings, even for my doodles, so they don't bleed as much. Well, probably if you use some ordinary copy paper, it will bleed. So this pen is one of my favorites too. It's the Kuretake felt Bimoji pen, brush pen. As you can see, it also has like a really long nib, and I feel this brush pen can go way thinner than this Pentel brush pen actually. I love them both, but if I have to absolutely pick one over the other, I'll pick the Kuretake any day. And by the way, I'm not sponsored to talk about any of these pens. However, if Kuretake, you know, if you come across me, I would love to be sponsored by y'all. I should also mention that this brand and this line of pens come in different nibs, and I have all of them, but these are this is the one that I use the most. And also for the Pentel brush pen, they come in various of colors. I have some of them here. I think they also come in grey, which I intend to get. What else? As far as detailing goes, I usually use good old microns. These are some of my micron pens. I have I think almost every nib size. I have 0.05 here, 0.5, 0.1, 1 point something. I have like all the nibs. Alternatively, I also use the Faber-Castell microns, I guess you can call them. I mean, I'm used to calling these kind of pens microns, the power of branding, I guess. So these are the Faber-Castell ones, and they come in sizes like XS, S, M. I'm not sure if they have L. I think it just jumps straight from M to F for fine. So it's a bit confusing. I prefer the, you know, the numbering, the measurement of the microns more than the, you know, the actual XXX size. Is just more confusing that way. But they both work pretty well. I think it depends like what you like, you know, at the end of the day. But these are the two brands that I use for detailing. As for actual ink in a bottle, usually I opt for India ink. I don't have any India ink with me right now. However, the only ink bottle that I have is calligraphy ink from Higgins. It's a waterproof black ink. It works pretty well, you know. No complaints. I've not used this brand that much, so I don't have much to say about it. But if I were to use like an actual brush to ink this month of October, I guess I'll be using this one, because I don't ink that much anymore, or at least I don't use these types of inks anymore. I just prefer the brush pens. It's just more convenient and faster, you know, and it's less messy. Because the thing about this is you have to open it, you have to make sure it's in like a bowl so it won't spill all the way your shit, and you have to use like a pipette thingy to like squeeze the ink out into like a separate pan. It's just much more hassle than just the, you know, your brush pen. And I was recently in Japan, so I bought like a couple of Japanese brush pens. Since I love the Kuretake so much, I'm just assuming that there's a standard when it comes to a certain standard when it comes to Japanese brush pens. So I just like grabbed a bunch that I thought were that I thought looked good and looked like reliable. As you can see, they're still in their plastic packaging. I've not opened them, I've not tried them, so I think it will be a fun experience to try these pens out during the month of Inktober. I have no idea if they're gonna bleed. I have no idea how opaque or the black ink is, and everything is in Japanese, as you can see. So I'm not even sure if I bought just the casing or without the cartridge. I don't know anything, so we'll have to find out. As far as correction goes, I try my best not to make any mistakes than to, you know, be a bit clumsy and make mistakes and then go back to correct them. However, if there are bits and pieces that I would want to, you know, erase, I usually use this jelly roll pen. You've probably seen this, a lot of artists use this. So there's this brand, the Jelly Roll, which is by Sakura, also a Japanese brand. And then there's Uniball. I prefer the Jelly Roll over the Uniball only because, I don't know, this one is just way better than the Uniball. I think the best is just to be careful, plan ahead, than to, you know, rush into it and do something and then go back to correct it, because correcting is just hell. I hate it. So what I do is I just make sure my hands are super steady and just be very careful, plan well, and just go for it. So for the foundation of inking, obviously it's the paper, right? I've not shopped for the paper yet. However, I might be just doing it in like, you know, your good old sketchbook, just some good quality paper, you know, nothing below 90 grams per sheet. I think it's decent enough for doing something, you know, like Inktober, since it's sort of like considered as practice. However, when I was in Japan, I came across this like manga paper. I don't know if you can see it. So what this manga paper is basically like comic book paper. I've used this before, but I've only used like an American brand. I forgot the name of the brand, but this one I assume is like a Japanese, well, not assume, but it is a Japanese brand. So what manga paper is that it comes with the margins printed for you in blue ink. So what the blue ink does is when you scan your drawings in, the scanner won't pick up any of the blue inks. So it's basically like, you know, margins for you. Like, it's just for convenience sake. If you want, you can actually buy just normal Bristol paper and draw your own lines, and when you scan it, you can just like, you know, erase them or touch them up so that you won't see the blue lines when it comes out in the final piece. So that's all the tools and materials that I plan to use for Inktober. I don't think I'll be following Jake Parker's prompt list. I think I'll be doing my own list or my own theme for the entire month of Inktober. I'll be posting them on my Instagram and my Patreon, and I guess my Facebook as well. If you'd like to check them out, please follow my Instagram, my Facebook page. All my Inktober stuff will be there, and I hope that I can finish the 31 days. If I don't hate me, don't be pissed at me. You know, I have plenty of stuff to do. I think even if I reach my previous, you know, record, which was 27, I think that it'll be a miracle because I'm so packed with stuff to do. So yeah, stay tuned for my Inktober, and I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll see you guys online. Bye!